Welcome to the 23rd House and Garden Tour of Boerum Hill. You'll notice new brick residences on State Street facing antebellum ones, new boutiques on Atlantic Avenue alongside antique stores. They all exude 19th century charm and flaunt 21st century amenities. Boerum Hill has been a community for well over 150 years now, and still retains its neighborhood feel. Native Americans lived for many, many years in the area. A new class of modern homesteaders, mostly from Manhattan, began to take interest in rundown Boerum Hill in the 1960s. They became known as brownstoners, as they sought out cheap Brooklyn brownstones and fixed them up while commuting to Manhattan jobs. By the 1990s, the trickle had grown to a torrent, and the race was on to rebuild the mostly intact neighborhood of Boerum Hill. Walk to site number 1, 52 Dean Street, condo number 5C. Open the front door, and the space flows from the state-of-the-art kitchen through the living dining area directly to the terrace, with its panoramic vista of south and east. Nothing interrupts your view. 159 Hoyt Street. 159 Hoyt Street is a prime example of the great variety of building types and sizes one can see in Boerum Hill. Hoyt Street is named after Charles Hoyt, who was a very prominent land developer in antebellum Brooklyn. It is thought that modern Hoyt Street followed an old Native American trail down to the original Gowanus Creek, where large oysters could be found at certain times of the year. They were a staple of the local diet. Rumor has it that for many years the front yard area at 165 Hoyt was a Native American burial and/or prayer ground, and the reason why the houses are located in the rear of the property. 159 and its two twins next door consist of a basement floor, 2 full floors, and a mansard sloping top floor. This building type is derived from the French Second Empire style, which came from a common design being used by Napoleon III in the 1860s to rebuild parts of Paris. A defining feature of the 3 demure houses of 159 to 163 Hoyt is their width. Land was becoming scarce in the Boerum Hill area after the Civil War, and developers sought to make a maximum use of available building lots. This area was on the north-south Hoyt Street and had only 75 feet of available lot depth, instead of the area standard of 100 feet. Living large in small quarters might subtitle the story of this 3-story 1871 house in miniature Second Empire style. Walk to site number 3, 138A Dean Street. 138A Dean and its 3 neighbors were completed in 1870 by builder Patrick Fitzgerald in a late Italianate style. 138A is remarkable in its still having its original round arch door enframement and intricate cast-iron stoop and yard railings. Don't miss the keystone sculpture in the front parlor mantel. The seductive Mademoiselle, kissing her bird, typifies the Rococo revival used after the Civil War in comfortable American homes. This one of 1870 may have always been a single-family residence, which helped preserve the pierced plaster ceiling moldings and oval medallions, as well as the etched glass in the parlor's pocket doors. Walk to site 4, 160 Dean Street. This portion of Dean Street presents an ideal opportunity to compare 2 of the signature architecture styles that defined most of Boerum Hill antebellum brownstones, Italianate and Greek Revival. Here at 160 Dean Street is an elegant example of an 1852 Italianate brownstone built by William Alexander. The Italianate style, most popular between the late 1840s until the mid-1860s, is defined by an emphasis on the classic Roman arch and the rounding associated with it. Note the many curves seen in many of the facade features, particularly the fluted brackets supporting the cornice slabs above the door and windows, as well as the curves in the projecting window sills. Also consider the curves in the details of the roof cornice. An additional classic feature of Italianate is the higher and often wider stoop presenting a bolder and stately entrance to the parlor floor. This had the added benefit of a higher ceiling on the ground floor. The stoop railings also contain many curves. Divine decadence in 1852 decoration. This 22-foot wide brownstone demonstrates the exuberant decoration of 19th century spec housing, when such detailing distinguished one interior from another in a group of houses. Walk to site number 5, 192 Dean Street. 192 Dean is an unusual brownstone in Boerum Hill in that it has never truly been a single-family home, even from its beginning. It was completed in the summer of 1853 by Brooklyn builders Peter Bagley and J.C. Green, and immediately offered along with its sister houses in an ad in the Brooklyn Eagle. This ad stated, 5 very fine 3-story and basement brick houses on Dean Corner Bond Streets will be exchanged for lots. The builders of South Brooklyn would build brownstones totally on speculation in the early 1850s in popular styles, working on the assumption that they could be sold quickly on completion to successful Brooklyn or Manhattan businessmen and their families. Most builders would sell the completed structures themselves, but 192 Dean was auctioned immediately by the developers for new, unimproved building lots in the Brooklyn area so they could build their next set of brownstones. 192 Dean was never sold successfully as a single-family home, so it was rented out to boarders from its beginning. With the coming of the electric trolley and modern subways, the practice of renting this building as a boarding house continued unabated. By 1966, the building was listed as an SRO, short for single-room occupancy. This corner house of 1853 showed it had been an SRO when Laura bought it in 1999. Every door had a number on it and a peephole.